It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right now on the 10 o'clock news.
And then there were three. Mayor Eric Adams ending his re-election campaign with just 5 weeks to go before voters head to the polls. And more than 30,000 strong people vowing to never forget, honoring the fallen heroes of 9/11 in this year's Tunnel to Tower 5K Run and Walk. Good evening. Welcome to the 10 o'clock news. I'm Arthur Chien. First tonight, a big day in the New York City race for mayor. Mayor Eric Adams had adamantly vowed to stay in the race until the end, but today it all changed. Adams dropping out, but not before issuing some words of caution for voters before they head to the polls in just 37 days. We have live team coverage tonight. Our Morgan McCaw has the latest on the mayor's announcement. Kendall Green is live with reaction from all three candidates that remain. And we begin with Morgan.
Hey, Arthur. Mayor Eric Adams releasing a 9-minute pre-recorded video this afternoon, officially dropping his re-election bid after weeks of speculation and lagging poll numbers that kept him in fourth place. Adams' name will remain on the ballot, though, since the deadline to remove it has already passed. Now, in the video today, Adams outlined a list of his accomplishments, but said in the end he was not able to overcome New Yorkers' skepticism of his leadership following his federal indictment. Adams was charged in a 5-count indictment last September, alleging that he took bribes and solicited illegal campaign donations. Adams pled not guilty, and his charges were later dropped by the Trump administration, who said they needed Adams to help carry out their immigration agenda. Adams had numerous allies also caught up in separate investigations, which led to a significant number of resignations within his administration. Adams faced immense pressure to drop out of the race from President Donald Trump's team and prominent business leaders who worried Adams would split the anti-Mamdani vote. Without saying anyone's names, Adams, in this video today, did seem to take a swipe at Zoran Mamdani.
Major change is welcome and necessary, but beware of those who claim the answer to destroy the very system we built together over generations. That is not change, that is chaos. Instead, I urge New Yorkers to choose leaders not by what they promise, but by what they have delivered.
Both Governor Kathy Hochul and Reverend Al Sharpton say that Adams told them he was dropping out before he made his announcement. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also thanked the mayor for his service and announced that he will be endorsing in the mayor's race before October 25th. Arthur?
Morgan, now from the announcement to the reactions. Zoran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Lewa, as you can imagine, all have something to say about this tonight. And for that, we go to Fox 5's Kendall Green. He picks up that part of the story for us. Good evening, Kendall.
Hey, good evening, Arthur. Candidates are wasting no time vying for the voters. Mayor Eric Adams leaves behind since dropping out of the race. Now, Adams was polling at about 9% before his exit, leaving those votes up for grab. Let's begin with Assemblymember Zoran Mamdani. Now, he's leading in the polls. He spoke on New York One this afternoon, suggesting Adams' exit from the race was an example of a backroom deal most New Yorkers are tired of, saying it doesn't change his plan to run on the city's affordability crisis, and he didn't hesitate going after former Governor Andrew Cuomo.
I think whether it's Andrew Cuomo, whether it's Curtis Lewa, what New Yorkers want is a politics that actually speaks to the future of this city, to make this city one that's affordable. And they're not going to turn to a disgraced former governor to deliver that when he's been the architect of what has pushed so many New Yorkers out of these 5 boroughs.
Now, as for former Governor Andrew Cuomo, this race becomes closer to his ideal campaign scenario, coming out swinging at Mamdani tonight in Queens.
This is not an election between two people. This is an election between different philosophies. And the philosophy that Mr. Mamdani represents is abhorrent to who we are as New Yorkers.
Our Republican nominee Curtis Lewa says he'll continue running his campaign with a law and order focus. Lewa maintains his position that he knows what's needed for the New York City and continue to go after the frontrunner.
Now time to shop. Soap opera's open. 1 down, 2 more to go.
Now, all candidates between now and then are eyeing their paths towards securing those votes in order to replace Eric Adams. And as you can imagine, for Zoran Mamdani and Curtis Lewa tomorrow, I'll send things back to you, Arthur.
All right, thank you very much, Kendall. Now you can hear more from Zoran Mamdani and Curtis Lewa tomorrow morning live on Good Day New York right here on Fox 5. Now, there is a lot to unpack on this night with news of Mayor Adams abandoning his run. Let's bring in political strategist O'Brien Murray. O'Brien, thanks so much for joining us. The rumor mill had been in hyperdrive over the past few weeks. Now that this has actually happened and the mayor has dropped out, what do you think changes in the race since Adams already was in last place?
Well, as I say on Wall Street, you buy on the rumor and sell on the news, I guess, right? This has been a long time coming. The question is how he was going to do and what he did. I think doing my video was the best way to do it. But if you look at it, at the reaction to it from the candidates, Mandani had his own video that I saw today, and I didn't know where he was going. I had a friend of mine I sent it to and said, what do you think? He watched it a few times and still couldn't understand what he was doing. Is he actually going after the Adams voter or not? And then when you look at Sliwa and Cuomo and Sliwa had the reaction, but Sliwa's got an ad out he put already today that shows reasons against Cuomo, and I didn't see anything like that from Mandami at this point. So it's interesting where that goes. Also, Cuomo's got about $1 million. I was just looking at it before he jumped on air. About $1.5 million cash on hand, I believe, and Sliwa's got $3.4 million. Now that can all change in a rather quick time, but you're never going to have a two-way race, and so the question's going to be, what's going to happen with the three in the race?
Okay, and for the people of New York City listening to what's happened today, what do you think their decision comes down to when it comes to deciding who they are going to vote for on Election Day now?
Well, Eric Adams won 4 years ago because on day one his message was crime, and on Election Day it was crime. He kept the same message through. Curtis Sliwa has been talking about that for decades, and that may be the big difference here right now. I think the other thing we're going to see is how much outside money comes in and how much the campaigns spend attacking each other, because none of the polls have showed, and even private polls you hear about and so forth, we've all been privy to in conversations, but even we haven't done them at times. Nobody's done the survey about one versus the other, and if you knew this about the other, what would you do? And with the three-way race, the same thing. No one spent that money at this point. So a head-to-head race is not existent in New York City politics because a head-to-head race doesn't bring in the facts of what each candidate is good and bad about, what they put out, their message, and what their opponents or the independent expenditures put out.
Okay.
So if crime's the number one issue, it's a benefit to Curtis Sliwa all day long.
Okay, and real quick, Brian, before we lose you, how long do you think it'll take for us to see what kind of impact Adams' announcement today has on the race? We're talking days, a week, 2 weeks? We've only got 5 weeks before Election Day.
It'll be interesting, really, what's the press going to cover? That's the real thing. I mean, Adams was only polling about 7 or 8%. His name is still on the ballot. You could have people that go out and vote that day for their council members and then still vote for Adams, and you'll still get a few percentage still lock it in that way, possibly. So at the end of the day, we will not find out for weeks, I think, at this point. I don't see Adams endorsing anybody right away, and I also don't see anybody going for his endorsement publicly. The question is, would they accept it if he gave it to them with that 7%, and what are the negatives that he brings with that endorsement?
All right, thank you for that insight, O'Brien Murray. Really appreciate you joining us. Now, for more on the race for New York City Mayor, tune in to Battleground NYC, The Fight for Your Vote. It's hosted by SE Cup and airs weeknights right here on Fox 5 after the 10 o'clock news and streams on the free Fox Local app. In other news, Sunday worship interrupted by an unimaginable tragedy at a Michigan church. The latest deadly mass shooting ends with the church going up in flames. Tonight, we're learning new details about the rampage. But first, tens of thousands here in New York retracing the steps of one FDNY firefighter who made the ultimate sacrifice on 9/11. More on today's Tunnel to Towers 5K run and walk honoring our fallen heroes. Next, plus Audrey.
Well, it was a beautiful day for that run, walk, or anything outdoors. We're in store for a really nice night, too, with temperatures that'll be pretty mild. We are expecting a chill down as we go further on into the week. I'll have the details coming up. Jen?
Thanks, Audrey. A new era is underway for the Giants, but it came at a cost, and a costly season for the Mets might signal the end of an era for one of the club's stars, plus a new chapter in the Yankees' storied rivalry. That and more at 10:30 on Sports Extra.
The news on Fox 5 brought to you by Nissan. Experience the thrill. Shop NissanUSA.com.
Tens of thousands of people honoring the vow to never forget, lacing up their sneakers for the annual Tunnel to Towers 5K run and walk as a tribute to those taken away from us because of the September 11th attacks. Fox 5's Stephanie Bertini was there and has the story.
Marking its 24th year, the annual Tunnel to Towers 5K run and walk in New York City. It's always a powerful experience for both participants and their supporters along the route. And on this day, the weather bringing amazing conditions for the event.
It's such a great honor to watch everybody pay the respects.
I got super emotional so many times. Just happy to be here.
I'm so excited to be here supporting all of our first responders, fallen heroes. Tunnel to Towers is an incredible organization.
More than 30,000 participants, from runners, walkers, volunteers, and spectators, coming out to honor the firefighters, law enforcement officers, and civilians who lost their lives on 9/11. The 5K route retraces the steps of late FDNY firefighter Stephen Siller, who strapped on 60 pounds of gear and ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, as it was called at the time, towards the burning towers. He sacrificed his life to save others.
He grew up to be this incredible human being that made the ultimate sacrifice for us. We just wanted to honor him.
Frank Siller started the Tunnel to Towers Foundation in honor of his brother Stephen's life and the other lives lost on that dark day in history. And in the years following, first responders who died of 9/11 related illnesses also honored by the foundation, as well as military heroes. The money raised at this event supports the Tunnel to Towers Foundation programs, benefiting first responders, injured service members, and the families of those who have passed. Marine Corps Sergeant Matthew Hannon crossed the finish line on this Sunday. Through the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, he received the gift of a smart home and is currently living in the foundation's Let Us Do Good Village, a one-of-a-kind community in Florida that meets the specific needs of injured service members.
For 24 years, right? Never forgotten, but never out of vengeance. Like, never forgotten as far as
This year, Barstool Sports founder and Fox Sports contributor Dave Portnoy named the honorary starter here at the Tunnel to Towers 5K run and walk.
Everyone comes up and thanks me. They're like, thank you for being part of it. It's all, well, thank you. It's like, the spirits are pretty high.
This event, held on this last Sunday of September, culminated with a festival, with multi-platinum country superstar Chris Jansen performing. In Lower Manhattan, Stephanie Bertini, Fox 5 News.
Fox 5 is your go-to for continuing coverage of the 24th annual Tunnel to Towers 5K run and walk. We are producing a 1-hour special on Friday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. right here on Fox 5, which will re-air Sunday, October 5th at 12 a.m. And there's also going to be showings on My 9, Saturday, October 4th and Sunday, October 5th at 7 p.m. Coming up still, another mass shooting with more lives lost, this time at a church during Sunday service. Police say a man crashed his truck into the building, started shooting, and they say he didn't stop there.
The New York
They were shielding the children who were also present within the church, moving them to safety.
We're learning new details tonight about how peaceful prayer was interrupted by unimaginable violence inside a Michigan church. People were attending Sunday service when, in an instant, a man crashed his pickup truck into the church, started shooting, and then set the building on fire. This according to police, who say multiple people are dead tonight, including the suspect, and that they are still searching for more bodies inside the charred building. Fox 5's Meredith Gorman is live in the newsroom right now with the latest developments on this. Meredith.
Well, we've just learned from authorities that 2 more victims were found inside the church in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan, bringing the death toll to at least 4. The gunman was also killed by police. Now, police say 8 others are in the hospital with gunshot wounds after a terrifying scene this morning. Investigators say 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford drove his truck into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints near Flint, Michigan, then opened fire with an assault rifle during Sunday service. Authorities say he then set the building on fire using an accelerant, and they also found explosive devices, though it's not yet clear whether they were used to start the church blaze. First responders were on scene within 30 seconds, and police fatally shot the suspect in the parking lot less than 8 minutes after the first 911 call. The Marine Corps tells Fox News that Sanford is a Marine veteran who served from 2004 to 2008. The FBI says this is now being investigated as an act of targeted violence, and police warn there are still people unaccounted for.
They said we're working around the clock now, so we're working tirelessly to find additional bodies. So to answer your question, the entire church has not been cleared because it's a total loss due to the fire. So these first responders right now, they're in recovery mode. They're trying to fight through all the debris.
President Trump weighed in on Truth Social, writing, quote, "This appears to be another targeted attack on Christians in the United States of America. This epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately." Now, Michigan State Police say they've also responded to and cleared several bomb threats at other area locations, including some churches. Tonight, this remains an active investigation, and so far, officials have not identified a motive. Arthur?
All right, thank you, Meredith. Unfortunately, this was not the only mass shooting this weekend. Another took place at a waterfront restaurant in North Carolina. 3 people were killed there, at least 5 others injured. Police say the victims were dining at the American Fish Company restaurant in Southport last night when the gunman opened fire from a boat. He then sped away, but was spotted by the Coast Guard about half an hour later. 40-year-old Nigel Edge now faces multiple first-degree murder charges. Police say he targeted the restaurant, but have not yet said why. And developing on Capitol Hill, top Republicans and Democrats are expected to meet with President Trump tomorrow for talks aimed at avoiding a government shutdown. Republicans say Democrats need to help pass a simple extension of government funding by Tuesday night to avoid a shutdown, and they say they will not agree to any further negotiations until after that's approved. The bill would keep the government open for another 7 weeks while Congress finishes its annual spending bills. Democrats say they want immediate talks to extend Affordable Care Act tax credits, which are set to expire at the end of this year. Those credits have made health insurance more affordable for millions of Americans. We're going to be right back with the weather.
Well, it was a beautiful day across the tri-state area. Definitely feeling more summer-like, even though it's officially the fall season. The high temperature made it to 83 degrees in Central Park. Our normal high should be about 72. Right now, we're at that normal high temperature of 72 in Central Park. It's 71 in Islip, 68 in Belmar. A little cooler off to the north. We're finding 61 over in Monticello and 65 up in Poughkeepsie with 63 in Sussex, New Jersey. So we're dry on the radar. We'll stay that way for the rest of the evening, and we're going mostly clear tonight. We have high pressure and control here over the northeast, and that's going to give us a really quiet night and a beautiful start to the day tomorrow. Then all eyes will be on towards the southeast here. We have 2 tropical systems that we've been watching closely here. We have Hurricane Humberto as well as Tropical Storm Imelda, which we'll take a look at those stats in just a minute. Humberto right now is a Category 4 storm with its winds at 145 miles per hour. It is expected to pass west of Bermuda, which is right here, and it will take a turn out into the Atlantic as it diminishes in intensity as we go into next week. In the meantime, we also have Imelda, which we're watching closely here in the tri-state area because we'll be on the northern fringe of the cloud deck here, and that will kind of give us a filtered sunshine sky as we go into Tuesday. So right now its winds are at 40 miles per hour, making it a tropical storm. It's expected to move close to Bermuda as well, giving it high surf as well as some rain showers, but it's also going to increase in intensity to a Category 1 hurricane before it makes its way out in the Atlantic. So good news for us here on the East Coast here. We don't expect a landfall. However, our surf will be rather high because of these 2 systems just offshore here. Tonight's lows will be into the 60s. Of course, most of the area will be north and west. We'll have readings in the 50s. Tomorrow, looking at high temperatures in the upper 70s. And on Tuesday, we'll have more clouds coming in because we'll be on the northern fringe of Imelda, but areas to the north should be just fine, like in the Hudson Valley. Looking good on Wednesday, plenty of sunshine, but check out that temperature drop. We are dropping down to more fall-like readings with highs in the 60s for the second half of the week. We'll warm it back up into the 70s by next weekend with a nice dry stretch of weather for the next 7 days. Stay tuned. We'll have more of the 10 o'clock news right after this commercial break. Up here.
Finally tonight, take a look at this. Firefighters responding to a scene in Colorado where they found a baby deer trapped in a fence, and first responders pulling the post apart until the animal finally gets loose and scampers off. In a true display of loyalty, a second deer stayed close by throughout the entire ordeal. A true pal, you could say, or a real fawn. That does it for the news tonight. Thanks for being with us. I'm Arthur Chien. For news anytime, go to our free streaming app, Fox Local, and stay with us. Sports Extra starts right now.